You ever wake up and realize the world's got its sights set on running you off before you've even had a chance to breathe? That's how it felt the morning I first rolled up to the edge of the bay, my boots sinking into cold gravel fog curling off the water, thick as secrets nobody wanted to share. I remember just sitting there in the cab, taking in the smell, cedar rust salt, all sharp enough to sting, but good, you know? Like something alive was waiting for me. And what was waiting was a crooked old cabin leaning so hard it might give up the ghost if the wind picked up. Dock half-buried windows, salt-burned and blind. I guess some folks would call that an omen, but I've always had a soft spot for lost causes fixing what everyone else has given up on, you know what I mean? My name's Caleb Mercer, 40 divorced, fresh off the treadmill of arguing with bureaucrats about things they'd never seen worn down to the quick by 15 years, restoring coastlines and chasing deadlines that never meant a thing when you're standing knee-deep in mud. So yeah, I cashed out, sold the house, boxed up whatever was left of a marriage that died of paperwork, and started looking for something quieter than the hum of fluorescent lights. Found it too. County auction. Fishing shack nobody wanted but me, 30 grand, and a deed old enough to have outlived every zoning law anyone ever tried to throw at it. What got me wasn't just the price or the look of the place. It was the memory of my dad, the way he'd talk about this very stretch of bay back before HOA started springing up like weeds and chopping up the coastline with rules and private signs. The sea remembers who respects her, he'd say. Maybe buying that cabin was just me trying to remember him to see if maybe the tide would bring some of him back with it. I checked the deed, 1941 ironclad, giving me full access to the shore and rights to maintain every foot of it. Gold, legally speaking. Untouchable. At least that's what I thought right up until I saw the brand new sign staked just past the tree line, Coastal Haven HOA Private Beach Community. Polished letters? New paint? My jaw got tight. I hadn't even put my tools down and already somebody wanted to tell me where I could stand and what I couldn't touch. Day 2. My crew rolled in good guys ones I trusted not to stir drama. We were marking out foundations, just doing our thing, and the peace didn't last. A slick black SUV glides up, paint gleaming out steps. This woman pearls perfume, posture like she owned the sand itself. "Excuse me, who authorized this construction?" Her voice could cut glass. I told her straight, "This is parcel 17B county auction. My name's on the deed, and that deed's been around a lot longer than her HOA. Her lips curled. Impossible. All this is under our jurisdiction. She tried to stare me down, but you know how it goes when you catch a bully off their turf. I pointed at her heels sinking into sand below the mean high tide line. "You're standing on federal land, ma'am, not private property." Didn't stop her. 10 minutes later, sheriff's cruiser pulls up, deputy, looking like he'd rather be fishing than babysitting this circus. Karen, turns out her name is Karen. Of course, starts rattling off HOA rules like they're gospel. The deputy just looks at me, asks for my papers. I show him the deed, the permit, all the works. He shrugs. "Common law doesn't override federal boundaries, ma'am." Karen goes red, threatens to get the attorney involved. I just get back to work. They retreated, but I could feel the storm building. By the end of the week, my mailbox looked like a lawyer's office. 5 letters, 5 accusations. Noise, unpermitted construction, environmental violations, you name it. Only thing I was violating was a dock full of termites. I stacked the letters on the cabin counter and just laughed. They work fast. It didn't stop at paperwork. Evenings, I'd see them dog walkers, pastel sweaters, sunglasses, walking, slow cameras poking out from behind phone cases. County inspectors showed up, 2 routine check-ins, never found anything wrong. But the pattern was clear harassment by 1,000 paper cuts. Then I get this email alert, local news blog blowing up with some hit piece about an out-of-town developer threatening the dunes. Only folks calling me a developer are the same ones feeding the paper. That's when I realized someone in the county office is working with Karen, leaking permit info, making sure I look like the villain. I knew I needed backup, somebody who spoke the same language I did but didn't scare easy. Called up Lucy Hahn, best surveyor I've ever met, old friend. 2 days later, she's there with GPS flags and a neon vest, cross-checking my deed against the modern satellite overlays. Sure enough, she finds it the HOA's prized access path, their private boardwalk. It cuts straight across my land. They built it years ago, never checked the original survey. All this time, they've been screaming trespass. It's them trespassing. Lucy grins. You could file a dispute, bury them. I shake my head. I'm going to let them hang themselves with their own paperwork first. Sometimes patience is the sharpest weapon. But the HOA didn't back down. They doubled down. Silence from Karen, which meant she was up to something. Sure enough, a shiny new Facebook group pops up. Protect our shores. Banner photo is my beach cropped to hide my property line, post after post, accusing me of destroying the dunes, corporate greed, you name it. Petition gets 500 signatures in 2 days, enough to freeze my permit. Lumberyard cancels deliveries. My project's dead in the water, all because Karen weaponized public concern. I reach out to Rob Ellison, an old contact in the county. He tells me someone's using HOA funds for fake environmental filings. Be careful who you trust. It all fits: anonymous complaints, fake citizen groups, county reviews, all paid for with other people's money. That's when the paranoia sets in, for good reason. White van unmarked pulls up. Driver claims he's got a delivery, but he's casing the property, scoping my cameras, checking survey markers. I send him packing, then spend the night wiring up more cameras, labeling them as bird watching just to needle the HOA. Third night cameras catch them, 2 figures in hoodies, one with Karen's trademark scarf, digging up sand, taking samples, snapping photos, trying to build a case. Next morning, I print the footage, send it to Rob. He confirms every environmental filing traced back to the HOA bank account. Lucy tells me to keep my head down, but Karen's still pushing. Local paper runs a new story, more lies, more concerned neighbors. Then things get uglier. Paint on my porch, threats left on printer paper, shoved under my gate fuel line, on my generator sliced just so. Not vandalism. A message. We can reach you anytime. I don't bite. Just fix what's broken, reinforce the fence, and wait. 2 nights later, cameras catch David Layton, Karen's husband, HOA treasurer, and Howard, their maintenance guy, tearing down my fence. Full faces, time-stamped, evidence gold. I send it all to my lawyer, Mark Caldwell, the only guy meaner than a pissed-off tide. He tells me we've got enough for a civil injunction, maybe even a fraud charge if the audit connects those HOA funds to their fake eco group. We spend a day drafting the paperwork. Not just a complaint, a bomb. Motion for preliminary injunction backed by every document, video, screenshot, and bank transfer I could muster. Mark's grin says it all. Let's take away everything they care about. Next morning, we file it with the county clerk. By the end of the week, the judge signs off. Coastal Haven. HOA is officially frozen. Meeting suspended, accounts locked, every fine and citation in limbo. Karen loses it on live TV, calling me a wealthy developer, crying land theft and corporate greed. Meanwhile, my truck's got a dent I can't afford to fix, and I'm still sleeping in a trailer with half the roof missing. The irony, right? Neighbors start whispering. Some wave, others just stare, but the tide is turning. For once, it's Karen answering questions for the reporters. Then comes the big 1-3 black SUVs, federal agents fanning out over the dunes, embezzlement, fake filings, federal trust land violations. It all unravels at once. Cameras roll as Karen tries to shout them down, but it's all over. She's cuffed and read the charges while her neighbors watch in stunned silence. Turns out Karen and her crew rerouted over $1 million in HOA fees through fake environmental accounts, travel campaign donations. Hush money to the right officials. The Protect Our Shores group, 100% funded by the same residents they claim to protect. When the truth hits, the whole community turns. HOA is dissolved. Assets seized, the old signs and fences loaded onto trucks and hauled out. Lucy comes by, grins at the empty spot where the HOA sign used to be. You going to frame that footage, she jokes. I tell her a clean beach is enough. For the first time, the place feels like it can breathe. Kids run barefoot, neighbors bring pie, the old divide's fading with each high tide. I sit on the rebuilt pier at sunset fingers, tracing the water, and I think about what my dad used to say: water never belongs to anyone, it just borrows the shore. So yeah, they called me reckless stubborn. Even got the cops on me. The feds called them criminals. I just call it justice. You ever see a tide turn so slow you barely notice until one day everything that tried to fence you out is gone and the land breathes free? That's what victory looks like, not vengeance balance. So let me ask you, who really owns the shore? The ones who fence it off and call it theirs, or the ones who fight to keep it free? Drop your thoughts below. Tell me where you stand on justice, HOAs, or just the best view you've ever earned. And if you've ever stared down your own Karen, let's hear that story. The tide's rolling in, friends. Don't let anybody tell you where it has to stop.